So there is a positive relationship between the amount of risk associated or assumed and the amount of expected return. The uncertainty or the loss cannot be predicted or cannot be estimated. So that we call it as a uncertainty. Under your unsystematic risk, you have different types. One, it is the business risk, financial risk, or the credit or the default risk. Hello my dear students, welcome to the session. My name is Krupamdi, faculty in the Department of Commerce, Vidyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysore. So we are starting with today's your Advanced Corporate Finance for 5th semester BBA. So here your first unit that we have, it is the risk analysis in capital budgeting. So here, whenever there is any investment project is undertaken or whenever there is a plan to invest in any long-term project, so there are two important factors that is involved. So one, it is what is the risk associated for undertaking that project and what is the return from that project. So important analysis of these two factors are very crucial while undertaking any project. So here in the risk analysis in capital budgeting means what is the risk associated in any project and what is the expected future profits. So that is what is the profit they are expecting in the future period for undertaking that project. To analyze that, there are certain techniques that are available. So all that we are going to study under this unit, that is risk analysis in capital budgeting. So here, what is the agenda for today's sessions? We will see the introduction of risk analysis in capital budgeting, and then we'll understand what is the time value of money. Then what is risk and uncertainty in business? So that is the relationship between the risk and uncertainty, and what is the relationship between the risk and the return for any long-term project. And what are the types of risk that we have and what are the techniques that are available to measure the risk associated in any project. So these are the theoretical topics that we are going to discuss in today's session. So first, introduction. So there is a positive relationship between the amount of risk associated or assumed and the amount of expected return. So the common two factors that is involved while taking up any project are the risk and the return. When a company plans to invest in any project, for example, the launching of a new product or starting a new branch, it is common that they will be expecting certain future profits in the future. But the future that is uncertain, so whatever the expected profit is there, the company may not be able to get all that expected profit. So that means there are certain risk and uncertainty that is involved in taking up any project or while making any long-term investment. So that is what we have here. There is a common two factors that is involved. So that is the risk and the return. So the greater the risk, the larger expected return. So obviously whenever we see the risk, so whatever the risk is associated, so that means whenever there is a risk, high risk, the return also it is high. So that means there is a positive relationship. If the company is willing to take up or any individual investor is willing to take up the risk, he can expect a higher return. So there are certain safest investment securities, for example, the government bonds or the fixed deposit. So whereas the risk is less, and at the same time, the return from those securities also it is less. So whenever the projects or the companies, if willing to take up any risk, obviously we are expecting the higher return from those projects. So the risk analysis should be incorporated in capital budgeting to understand the better investment decision. So that means it is very important for every companies or every investor, whenever they are taking up any capital investment or capital budgeting, they have to analyze what are the risks associated while taking up those project or for making up those investment. So the various techniques, so that means there are certain statistical techniques that are available to understand the pattern of risk so that they can avoid the risk up to a certain levels. So that means it is very important to use those techniques to evaluate the performance of those investment project. So now we'll see what is the time value of money. So the time value of money, it simply means that the money available today, it is worth more than the same amount that is received in the future. So because of the inflations, when the prices are rising, where the purchasing power it is declining, due to the certain reasons, whatever the amount or the money that is received today, that is worth more value than the same amount that is received in the future period or the future time. So the concept of time value of money, it is very important for all the concepts and the principles used in the field of financial management. So that means whenever the important financial decisions are taken, it is very important to consider the concept of time value of money. So the rupee, what is the meaning of time value of money? A rupee which is received today is more valuable than a rupee receivable in future. The preference for the present value of money against the future value is called the time preferences for money or the time value of money. So taking up any project, what is the present value of that money in that future period? To consider that factor, it is very crucial in the financial management. Next, we'll see what is risk and uncertainty in business. So here, risk, in the words of John Hampton, risk is the chances of future loss that can be foreseen. So that means it is the possibility of suffering a loss in the future due to certain uncertain reasons. So that means the risk means, for example, a company is launching a product, and if it expect the launching of a product may cost the company's 10 lakh and it expect a 15 lakhs return in the future. But if there's a low demand for the product, if the company is having only the 8 lakh sales, or if they recover only the 8 lakh, so that means that is the risk associated in that project. So due to certain uncertainty or the certain reasons, the company may not be able to recover or may not be able to get the expected profit, and the future loss that can be foreseen. So foreseen means what? Whatever the risk associated is related to the project, that can be identified and that can be estimated. So for example, if a company is launching a product, means they can see the previous or the past informations, and also they can do the proper market research regarding the product and regarding the competitors' product, and they can analyze whether the product can be launched, or whether if launched, whether the product can achieve the maximum sales, or whether the product can achieve the expected profit, so that they can estimate or they can predict. So that we have call it as it can be foreseen. So that means the risk means it is the chances or the possibility of suffering a future loss due to the uncertain reasons, but those risks, it can be expected or it can be predicted. So that can be foreseen. So that we call it as a risk. Then we have the uncertainty. Uncertainty means what? It is the unforeseen chances of future loss. Unforeseen chances means what? The uncertainty or the loss cannot be predicted or cannot be estimated. So that we call it as a uncertainty. So whatever the future loss is there, that cannot be predicted by the companies. For example, if a company is launching a new technology that is completely new to the market, so since they will not have any past information regarding that technology, whether that the new project can be successful or not, they cannot predict. So that is the uncertainty in the project or uncertainty in the capital budgeting. So the main difference between the risk and uncertainty is the risk can be predicted, but uncertainty, it cannot be predicted whether the project will be successful or not. So these are the two factors that is mainly involved in the capital budgeting. Next, so we'll see the relationship between the risk and the return. So as I said earlier, there is a direct relationship between the risk and return. The more the risk is taken, obviously the expected return also will be more. So higher the investment returns can only be generated by taking on higher investment risk. So that means any investors or any companies or institutional investor, if they are ready to take up the higher risk, obviously we are expecting a higher return from those investment. For example, having a fixed deposit, so that is one of the safest securities. So where the risk associated it is very less. At the same time, the return from that the fixed deposit also it is expected the low level. So if the same time if they are investing in any securities or any company stocks, so obviously the risk associated in that it is high. At the same time they are expecting a high return also. So that means higher the investment, return can only be generated by taking up the higher investment project. So however, this does not hold in every single scenario, but this does not suitable for every single scenario. So that means having a proper portfolio of investment, you can diversify these risks. For example, if any investor he wants to invest in a 1 lakh, he don't need to invest all the 1 lakh in one single security or one single sources of investment. He can diversify to various, maybe having a fixed deposit or maybe investing in any government bonds like your treasury bills, or he can invest and he can diversify by investing in his stocks, at the same time taking up any project. So he can diversify his investment into the different sources, so that whenever if the return from this reduces, he can have a stable return from the safest securities. So that is also it is important. So that means this relationship risk and return does not hold in every single scenario. For example, diversifying the portfolio of investment asset, a comparable return can often be generated with less risk than an undiversified investment portfolio. Rather than investing entire investment or entire amount in a single security, if it can diversify into the different, even when one source, if it fails to generate the income, so the sources of investment or the portfolio, it can generate the return. So here we have the diagram explanation how the risk and return is associated. So that is the risk-free bonds, for example, the treasury bonds, where the risk associated is less and the return also it is less. And again, the investment grade bonds, higher the risk, higher the return, and high yield bonds where the risk associated is high and the return also it is high, and investing in the equities also the risk and the return associated is high. At the same time, investing in private assets also, the risk is high and the return is high. So the greater the risk, the investor is expecting the higher return. So that is the relationship among the risk and return. So next we'll see what are the types of risk. So basically there are two types. One, it is systematic risk and unsystematic risk. So the risk is broadly classified into systematic risk and unsystematic risk. So now we'll see what is systematic risk. So the systematic risk are those risks which are common to the entire economy or the entire market. So these are the risks which cannot be controlled or which cannot be avoided. So for example, if there is any recession in the economy, obviously the companies, they will have to face the risk. If there is a recession scenario in the economy, what happens? The prices of the product that will be increased, the purchasing power of the people that will be reduced, so leading to the lower sales, and at the same time it will lead to the lower profit. So these are the conditions which cannot be avoided by the investor or which cannot be avoided by the companies. So at the same time, another example is if there is any natural disasters happens in any country, so that also will automatically leads to the higher risk. And again, if there is a political instability in the economies or in any government or any countries, automatically the companies, they cannot predict what is the government policies if there is instability is there. So due to that also the investors or the companies or the institutional investors, they may suffer. So these are all the systematic risk which is pertain or which is same to the entire economies or the entire market. So here systematic risk refers to that portion of variations in return caused by the factors that affects the prices of all the securities. So that means those are the risk which affects the entire market. So what are the types under your systematic risk? One, it is the market risk, and if there is a high fluctuations in the interest rate, and if there is a purchasing power risk, that is your inflation, if it is high, automatically the purchasing power of the people will be reduced. It will affect the entire market. So that we have it as the systematic risk, which is uncontrollable and unavoidable. Next, second type we have it is the unsystematic risk. So the unsystematic risk are those risks which impact or which affects the particular company or any particular industry or any particular project, and these are the risk which can be controlled by taking up a proper measures, by diversifying the portfolios. So these risks can be controlled or that can be avoided. So unsystematic refers to that portion of the risk which caused due to the factors which are unique and peculiar to a firm or industry. Suppose if a company is having a poor management decisions, obviously the company's performance that will be affected and leading to the lower sales and lower profit and the lower market price of their shares. Suppose if there is any employee strikes, so that happens in any particular companies or particular industries, so that also will lead to the risk for the investors. So these are the unsystematic risk which can be controlled by the taking up a proper decisions or the financial decisions or by proper diversification of securities or the investment. These are risks that can be avoided. So here these are the risk is a company's specific risk and can be controlled if the proper measures are taken. Under your unsystematic risk, you have different types. One, it is the business risk, financial risk, or the credit or the default risk. So the business risk means was common to any companies if they are not able to do the proper management or the financial management decisions. So that also risk. And the financial risk, if the proper diversification of portfolio is not done, so that also will have a risk. And credit and the default risk, if the company is under the credit, so if the companies make default to make the payment of the credit, so these are the certain risk that will affect the investors or that will impact the investment. So next we'll see what are the techniques that are available to measure the risk. So here, while before taking up any project, how to measure and how to evaluate those projects and how to evaluate the risk and the return from that project, there are certain techniques are available. So here first we'll have the risk adjusted discount rate approach, and here mainly we'll consider the two factor, what is the risk free rate and what is the risk premium. So by considering these two, what is the risk-free rate and risk premium, we'll calculate the NPV under risk-adjusted discount rate. Then under certainty equivalent approach, they will be using the certainty equivalent values. So by using these two techniques, we are going to calculate the NPV, that is net present value of any project or net present value of any return. So by using these two techniques, we are going to calculate the NPV. Next, we have probability approach, then we have standard deviations and the security analysis. So under the probability, the chances of occurring a losses by taking the probability of any projects or any returns will calculate, and then standard deviations, it is mainly used to calculate what is the risk involved in any project. So higher the standard deviations, obviously the risk is higher. Lower the standard deviations, the risk it is also low. So we'll calculate the standard deviations and the coefficient of variation. So these four concepts, it is very important where we're going to solve the problems. So here these two will calculate the NPV, and under these we'll calculate the expected return and the standard deviation. So these and also the coefficient of variation. These four important problems that we'll solve under this unit. Then we have the sensitivity analysis, the scenario analysis and decision tree approach. So these are the theoretical measures that is used to measure the risk associated in the project. So these are the three theoretical techniques that is available to measure the risk. So total we have risk-adjusted discount rate approach, then certainty equivalent approach, probability approach, and standard deviation and coefficient of variations. So these are the four important concepts that we need to focus more on this unit. So in the next sessions, we are going to solve the problem under each techniques. So your first technique, it is risk adjusted discount rate approach. So we'll calculate using this how to calculate the NPV, net present value of the project. So that we will discuss in the next session. So this is all about the today's session. So here we have seen some of the basic theory, what is risk and what is return and what is the types of risk and what are the techniques that is available to measure the risk. So these types of risk and the risk and return, these are the two theory important questions that you need to focus more from the examination point of view. And from the next sessions, we'll see how to solve the problem. So we all meet in the next sessions. Thank you.